So I think all of us can agree that the car community has drastically changed over the years, and unfortunately not for the better. When I think back to 10 years ago as a freshly licensed teenager, hopping in my car and heading out to the meet was much different than it is today. Back then, it was all about getting together in a parking lot, talking about and looking at mostly well-built cars and making new friends along the way. But somehow over the years, it's transitioned into takeovers, internet clout builds, and a massive amount of hate and negativity. Is all of the good in the community being outweighed by the bad, or is the community really in a worse state than it was 10 years ago? Today I'm going to be giving you guys my reasoning on why the car scene sucks in 2023. Before we get into today's video, I'm just going to interrupt with a quick word from our sponsor, which is me. You guys have been crushing it with support on my last few videos, so if you wouldn't mind hitting subscribe and absolutely dunking on that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. Back to the video. So if any of you guys watching right now are anything like me, you can resonate with the fact that cars have been a major part of my life ever since I was a little kid. When I got my license in 2013, working on my car and going out to meets and events with my buddies was all I could ever think about. Back then, going to a car meet was strictly word of mouth, or maybe you saw an event pop up on Facebook. It was nowhere near as mainstream as it is today. When you showed up to these meets, it was filled with like-minded people who all just loved cars. Of course, you had bad apples who ruined it for everyone else, but overall, I'd say that everyone you met there was going to be super friendly and was honestly just happy to be there. Car meets were full of knowledge and experience that people were more than happy to share. Fast forward to about 10 years later now in 2023, it seems like every time I pull up to a meet, which is honestly pretty rare for me these days, it's just a bunch of teenagers sitting in their bone stock 350Z waiting for enough people to show up so they can do a one-wheel peel out of the parking lot and get the attention that they were looking for. Now, by no means am I trying to gatekeep the younger generation, because honestly, I've been in their shoes, but it just seems like the car scene has shifted into kind of doing everything for attention rather than doing things because it's what you love, which leads me into all of these internet clout builds. Gone are the days of engine swaps being the absolute pinnacle of the car world. Nowadays, it's all about finance, wheels, bags, and wraps in the new generation of Affirm.com built NPC cars. It seems like anytime I go to an organized car show, all I see are cars on expensive wheels, slammed on their nuts, and wrapped in something that can be seen from the next town over. Don't get me wrong, I have absolutely no problem with people modding their cars the way that they want to, but it just seems like that's all I see these days. I feel like people who actually dive deep into a build are becoming far less common, and part of that could be due to how expensive parts are getting these days. Going out and buying simple bolt-ons for a newer car is a piece of cake, but take for example someone like me who's currently in the middle of a B20V swap on my Civic. For starters, finding B-Series parts is extremely hard, and when you do find them, they're extremely expensive. 10 years ago, you could get a full B16 or GSR swap for under $1,000, and nowadays I see them listed for anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000, depending on what's included, and honestly that is just insane to me for a 20-year-old drivetrain. Not only are parts expensive these days, but so are just cars in general. Remember when you could buy a running and driving 240SX in decent condition for about 1,500 bucks? Yeah, that shit is over with. You can't even find a 240SX shell for less than $5,000 nowadays, and the 240 is just one example out of the many enthusiast cars that people really want. The current used car market is one of the biggest reasons why I think the community is honestly just trash these days. I'm not saying people should be giving stuff away for free, but asking insane money for a clapped out salvage title vehicle, it's just mind-blowing to me. The bar to entry for new enthusiasts is honestly at an all-time high, and it's got to be extremely discouraging to the younger generation. Imagine being 16, 17 years old, working a minimum wage job, saving up for that Miata you've been dreaming of, just to find out that it's $7,000 for a clapped out high mileage car with a rebuilt title. Remember being able to buy a $500 beater with a heater? Nope. Goodbye. Those are $2,500 cars all day these days. I just don't understand why people think these 20-plus-year-old cars are worth so much money, and we're only scratching the surface of everything that's extremely overpriced these days. Now, you might be saying to yourself, there couldn't possibly be anything worse in the car scene than a $40,000 240SX shell, right? And that's where you're wrong. The single biggest detriment to the car community in 2023 is, in my opinion, takeovers. If you've been living under a rock for the last few years and have no idea what a takeover is, let me explain. In short, a takeover is just a bunch of dumbasses doing extremely dangerous and illegal shit on public roads, mainly busy intersections. That's it. That's a takeover. There's nothing quite like a bunch of degenerates doing donuts into crowds of people, hurting or killing them, blocking emergency vehicles from getting potentially critical condition patients to the hospital, and just overall being a stain on the entire car community in the eyes of local law enforcement and government officials. Most local law enforcement already have a big distaste for modified cars and enthusiasts, and takeovers are not helping us at all. At this point, they probably just assume that anyone who drives a modified car is involved in things like takeovers, and it just puts an even bigger target on our backs. I just want to say for the record, I do not and never will condone takeovers and what goes on at them. I think it's one of the dumbest things that you could possibly involve yourself in, and if you support that kind of behavior, you're definitely part of the problem. We get it. Sliding, drifting, donuts, all that kind of stuff. It's super fun, but there are definitely better ways to do those kind of things. Find an empty parking lot in the middle of nowhere and do it there, or be even more responsible and take it to a track. There is no reason or excuse why you can't find a local track day or drift event to take your car to and do those kind of things. Takeovers are not the answer, and they never will be. Period. I kind of want to finish this off by saying that even though all the things mentioned in this video are severely hurting the community, there's one thing that I think we all can work on at a personal level to massively improve the community overall. Hate and negativity. Nowadays, people are so quick to hate on one another over the simplest things. You could be the nicest person in the world and some dude on the internet will still hate on you simply because of the cars that you like or the way you express yourself through cars. I've seen this happening more and more over the years with the rise of social media, making it easier than ever to just shit on somebody from the comfort of your home. I mean, take a look at my video on how donut media is ruining the reputation of Subaru. The comments on that video are an absolute dumpster fire of people just blatantly hating on me simply because I like Subarus. Granted, a lot of what I said can absolutely be misinterpreted by anyone watching, but it's still a great example of how quick people are to hate on you for something as simple as the cars you like. I definitely have thick skin and I get a good laugh out of reading those comments, but the point is that everyone as a whole really should try to be less hateful and negative towards each other in this community. At the end of the day, we all share a passion for cars and we should be more focused on uplifting and motivating one another rather than shitting on each other. So those are the reasons why I think the car scene sucks in 2023. What do you guys think? Will the community continue into this downward spiral, or do you think that eventually things will get back to the way that they used to be? Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you made it this far into the video, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Feel free to hit that subscribe button because it really does help. And if you want to see how this mechanic totals a customer's 17,000 mile 1997 Toyota Supra, click the video on the screen now. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.